It's King Bulgarian here. Today I'm commentating on a match in Seafoam Isles Season 4 between Benji of the New York Garbodors and Alolan Floatzel of the... Oh shoot, I just saw. I'm drawing a blank though. I forget what his team is. Sorry. Um, no, I do remember. It's Toronto Staraptors. Both teams are 3-2, so both have winning records. It should be a good game. Um, on Benji's side, he has Mega Gallade as his Mega, and for Z captains, he has Z Any Feraligatr, which we do see making an appearance, and Z Attack Typhlosion, which is not here today. On Alolan Floatzel's side, his Mega is Mega Audino, which is not here, and then Z Any Raikou and Z Attack Moltres, both of which are there. So we should be seeing, well, we may be seeing some Z moves from that side of things. Just for some initial thoughts on the excuse me, on the matchup. So from Benji, Kyurem looks super good. I'm not seeing a single thing that wants to switch into Specs Freeze Dry, except maybe Spadef Thick Fat Miltank, and Cobalion can switch in, just not that well. And Miltank also takes a ton from a Draco Meteor or a Focus Blast. And Raikou is also looking pretty good for Floatzel. Thunderbolt, Aura Sphere, Hidden Power, Ice hits pretty much everything on Benji's team. Could do some big damage. Maybe a Fightinium Z on that Raikou to pick up the KO on the Kyurem with a +1 Z Aura Sphere. Mega Gallade also looks amazing here. It, at +2, it can kill almost everything except maybe Milotic, and then depending on its move pool, if it has a rock move, it can definitely kill that Moltres, but otherwise, Moltres should be able to deal with it decently at least. Feraligatr looks okay, but only if Benji can remove that Milotic, so we'll see how that goes. Torterra is an interesting mon here. It looks like it has a solid matchup. Offensively, it definitely, like, Moltres drops to Stone Edge, Raikou drops to Earthquake, Alakazam drops to Earthquake, Miltank takes probably good damage from Earthquake, Milotic, Wood Hammer, Cobalion, Earthquake, so maybe we'll see an offensive Torterra here. That could be pretty cool. As is Girder. Girder also looks pretty solid here, although there is the Moltres and Alakazam that can always come in and potentially revenge kill it if it is a bulk upset. Then there's Celesteela, which is always annoying. Although there is Raikou and Moltres, both with those Z moves that could potentially just have a Firium Z or an Electrium Z to pick up the kill on that. Then Alakazam. Alakazam looks solid, although it probably will struggle a little bit with that Celesteela. If they can take out the Celesteela, though, then they should be good. Sword Stance Cobalion also looking pretty nice here. Although they may need a little bit of chip on the Torterra and the Girder. And actually, now that I think about it, Mega Gallade does outspeed it, so maybe we'll see. I could see Cobalion being Choppleberry or something to bait the Gallade. But with that, I'll tell the coaches that they can go ahead and get started. So for leads, I'm thinking likely leads. I could see Moltres or Raikou as a lead because both have pretty good matchups here. And then for Benji, I think Kyurem makes sense as a lead. I think Kyurem or Torterra. We are going to see that Kyurem and the Moltres lead. So we could just see Kyurem just shoot off a Specs Draco Meteor. Nothing on this team really wants to take a Specs Draco Meteor. We'll see what it does want to have, though. Depending, it may be like especially defensive or Assault Vest Cobalion because there really are not the best options for dealing with Kyurem on this team. Even Spadef Milotic probably takes like 40-ish, I'd say, from a Specs Draco Meteor. And it can recover up, but then if it does want to recover, then Benji can gain some momentum by going into probably that Torterra, I'd say. I'm I'm thinking that Torterra this game, it's either here specially defensive with Yachi to deal with the Raikou, or it's offensive. So turn one, we see 48% from Hurricane. So that is likely an offensive Moltres with just based on how much damage that did. It did confuse, but Kyurem's able to break out, and due to the pressure on the Kyurem, it might be able to stall out that Hurricane. So we'll see how this goes. This interaction is a little rough for Floatzel, just breaking out with Kyurem breaking out of that confusion immediately and having two consecutive Hurricane misses. And then Ice Beam comes off. It does 56, so that is enough to 2 KO. Alolan Floatzel getting pretty unlucky here. So there is the Miltank, and that it takes that pretty well. I'm not sure if that's especially defensive though. It's definitely thick fat, but I'm not sure if I. So Benji actually decides to just hard swap, which is interesting since he was behind the sub. But seeing as that is a curse set, that may have been in his best interest. And we see we see a flame orb on the girder instead of the Eviolite. So this is definitely a very offensive girder, which is interesting since girders normally prefer to run Eviolite, but the immediate damage might be beneficial here as we're facing down the cursed Miltank. A close combat or a drain punch should do decent damage. I believe, did this thing show? Yeah, it did show lefty, so it's not going to be... Okay, there's a close combat doing good damage. After the speed lower from Curse, this girder should be able to outspeed and pick up the KO with another close combat. So I'd imagine we're going to be seeing a switch from Floatzel here, likely into the Moltres. Never mind, the Miltank still outspeeds, even at -2 speed. I wonder if that was intentional or if that's just Girder being slow and Miltank being fast. I could definitely understand. I could definitely understand Floatzel speed creeping to make sure that he did outspeed Girder at -2. That would make sense on his part for this specific interaction right here. So Miltank is actually looking really dangerous right now since Girder's just lowering his or lowering its defenses more and more as it goes on, likely getting in range of a body slam to take that thing out. And then, okay, so we do see the switch into the Torterra for some reason. I'm not sure what this thing's carrying. Probably Roar or Toxic, if I had to guess. Something that, just something to try and, excuse me, something to try and deal with this Miltank. So that it's not as much of a problem. If I had to guess, I'd say we're probably seeing a Roar. Okay, it's Leech Seed. So the body press, it does show the body press. So I wonder, Curse Milk Drink body press. I wonder what that last move is. Potentially body slam or maybe something else. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. But lucky that Torterra, or lucky that the Miltank was thick fat and not sap sipper, because if that were the case, this Torterra would not be in a great position right now. So we just see the Miltank continue to set up. Benji really needs to take care of this thing quickly, or else it's going to get out of hand. He is just going to continue to stay in with the Torterra, so I would assume he's trying to get it into range of close combat from Mega Gallade and or close combat from Girder. Luckily, he has two strong fighting types that hopefully will be able to take it out. But from this range, it's not looking like it. I think Girder should be able to take it out though, or not. Maybe not take it out with one close combat, but it should be able to take it on at least. Close combat, yeah, it's going to do a good amount of damage. Body press might KO here, and it does, but it's now at low enough HP that Gallade can come in and take it out. So the Miltank definitely did a lot of work there. Benji, I think, did as best he could handling it. Maybe staying in with Torterra as long as he did and letting it set up was not in his best interest, but it ended up working out anyway, so it's all right. We do see the Glade come in, and then a Zen Headbutt. He actually goes for Zen Headbutt, which was which didn't actually KO. Glade takes a lot of damage that it definitely would have preferred not to. We'll see what Floatzel goes into here. I would assume probably the Alakazam, and then yeah, probably go. I would assume Floatzel tries to go in the Alakazam here and revenge kill with a Psychic or a Size Shock or a Shadow Ball or something, um, or maybe even just Nasty Plot predicting uh, the Celesteela. I'm not sure. I can never remember. I don't think that the Alakazam gets Thunderbolt, but if it does, then it'll definitely be running it to try and kill that Celesteela. So let me check real quick. Okay, so he does go for the hard Shadow Ball, and no, Alakazam does not get Thunderbolt. So this thing's definitely going to be very much walled by Gallade. So the Shadow Ball does very little. It's likely, especially defensive Celesteela, meant just to check this Alakazam. I would assume we're going to be seeing a swap. Oh no, he just stays in Nasty Plots, which is interesting. Heavy Slam comes off and does a lot of damage. Um, a little bit too much damage. This Alakazam is not in a good position right now. The most it can be doing is... Okay, it has Charge Beam, which is very interesting. It's not enough to pick up the KO, unfortunately, but it does a lot of damage. And Celesteela is able to take it out with a Heavy Slam, though. So now in comes the Raikou, which is what we expected. Raikou is looking very good, very threatening right now. If it gets off a Calm Mind, and it does have that Fightinium Z like I thought, okay, it's going to just sub up. It is trying to set up here. And there's the Calm Mind, yeah. So Earth Power comes off. It is enough to break the substitute. We're seeing no leftover, so I would assume this is probably Z Raikou. We may just see, if it is that Fightinium Z, we may see that coming off right now. But we'll just have to wait and see. This Raikou's in a very good position right now. Benji is very much being threatened. Definitely not in a good position. Just due to the lack of leftovers on this thing, Raikou probably cannot set up too much. Okay, so we do not see a Z move, but the Aura Sphere does come off, and Earth Power does a lot. Lowering its special defense, which shouldn't really matter, I don't think. But Kyurem is in range of another Aura Sphere. So we'll see what happens here. I think the only way I can see Benji potentially winning this is if... Actually, how healthy is Glade? At 56? You see, this is where clicking the Zen Headbutt on the Miltank was really taking all that damage, because if that thing were at full, it could have taken a Thunderbolt easily and then revenge killed it. But as is, I don't think it can take a Thunderbolt. So that's the only way that I think Benji has a chance here, is either if he lives a Thunderbolt or if he has Shadow Sneak. So we'll see if he does have the Shadow Sneak. He very well may, since there is an Alakazam, and if it gets a Swords Dance, it can revenge kill the Alakazam with a Shadow Sneak. Or not revenge kill, but it can prevent Alakazam from revenge killing it. So we'll see what he has here. This Gallade, this turn is going to be very crucial. This turn right here is where the game is either won or lost. Okay, so he's not going to risk that. He just goes hard Moltres, which dies to the Stealth Rocks. It did not actually have... or the Gallade did not actually have... what's it called? It did not have Shadow Sneak. Raikou actually comes back in. We'll see what he wants to go for. And there is the Z move, and it is Z Electric. So that's going to pick up the KO on Mega Gallade. Unfortunately, Celesteela and Feraligatr should be in range of a Thunderbolt. So that, I believe, will be the game. And yeah, Thunderbolt is able to take out the Celesteela. If this thing... No, because even if it gets a Dragon Dance off, Milotic walls it. So best case scenario, Benji is able to pick up a 2, as bring the differential down to a 2-0 rather than a 3-0 here. Um, if it were me, I would. Okay, he does have Aqua Jet, which is good. That's good. The differential is going to be brought down. If he can avoid getting Scald Burned, okay, so he does. Floatzel does not go Milotic actually, which is interesting. Oh, it does have the taunt though. So we don't see a Dragon Dance, however. We do see an Earthquake coming off and doing 53, which is some good damage. Um, Floatzel goes for the taunt, trying to prevent that Dragon Dance. The close combat comes off and is not a 2-hit KO. Earthquake will be able to kill the Cobalion after the defense drop. So Benji actually was able to bring this back quite a bit. This is a dangerous situation for Floatzel. If this Feraligatr potentially has substitute, okay, it does not. But we do see a Tectonic Rage come off for 40. And then the Scald, he does avoid the Scald Burn. If this thing has substitute or something to avoid that, okay, it does not. So, okay, this is actually very close. This is actually very close. It all depends on Scald Burns right now. If Milotic cannot get a Scald Burn, then Feraligatr might be able to win this. Actually, that Earthquake is doing very, very little. Yeah, I can't unless Earthquake crits right here, which it does not, unfortunately. Scald is going to be able to pick up the KO, and that's going to be the end of the game. Benji played that end game very well. That was a very close game. That was a very close game. Um, but yeah, that was very that was crazy. Milotic was just being really fat at the end there. Maybe if Benji had saved his Groundium Z for after he got off a couple Dragon Dances, and then he could have maybe caught the Milotic off guard and been done enough. But regardless, that was a good game. It was very close. Floatzel definitely must have been getting very stressed out at the end there, because Feraligatr is just such a dangerous Pokemon to be playing around with, and Floatzel was able to pick up the 1-0 victory, and yeah, again, very good game on both of these players' parts. So with that, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys later.